Hey, church family. Have you ever become frustrated while waiting on the Lord and decided to take matters into your own hands? As we turn to Genesis 16, we see a moment in the life of Abram and Sarai where they had become frustrated waiting on the promise of the Lord. God had promised that Abram would become a great nation, but as chapter 16 opens up, Abram still has no heir. He has no son. In chapter 15, Abram had asked God about this, how God can make him into a great nation without an heir. And God had promised that he would give Abram an heir. He would give Abram his own son. But as chapter 16 opens up, Abram's wife Sarai is still barren. She has still been unable to give Abram an heir, and she becomes frustrated. And so they decide to take matters into their own hands. And when they decide to take matters into their own hands, to deviate from the promised plan of God, brokenness enters the story. Here's how it happened. Sarai, following the customs of the culture around them, tells Abram that he can take her servant Hagar and sleep with her in order to produce an heir. Well, Abram listens. He does that. Hagar becomes pregnant. When Hagar becomes pregnant, she looks on Sarai with contempt. Sarai sees what's going on. She sees the contemptible look of Hagar. She goes and she is angry with Abram, telling him that this is his fault. Abram tells Sarai to do whatever she wants, and Sarai begins to mistreat Hagar to the point that Hagar takes the baby Ishmael and she leaves. She flees the camp and she goes out into the wilderness. Abram and Sarai got frustrated waiting on the promise of the Lord. They deviated from the promised plan, and because they did, brokenness entered into the picture. Perhaps today you are waiting on God, and you've been waiting for a long time, and you are becoming frustrated, and you're wondering and thinking about taking matters into your own hands. If that's you today, let me encourage you to wait. Wait on the Lord. He is never late. He's also never early, but he is never late. He is always right on time. When we deviate from his path, when we deviate from his promise and his plan, brokenness enters into our story. But when we wait on him, we're told in Isaiah 40:31 that he will renew our strength, that we will soar on wings like eagles, that we will run and not grow faint. So today, if you are waiting on God, trust him, wait on him, and believe that he is going to do all that he has promised to do for you. As you read through chapter 16, you have to remember that God is always faithful, always gracious, always merciful. And even though Abram and Sarai introduced brokenness into the story, in the second half of the chapter, God introduces grace and mercy and faithfulness. I encourage you to check that out as you read through Genesis 16 today. Enjoy your time with Jesus.